finding happiness and in my own personal journey, I've done a lot of shadow work or dark soul work, dark night of the soul, inner self work. And when I did those, when I looked to myself, some things came up that I wasn't proud of or I wasn't happy with that I wanted to change. And when you realize that, it sometimes brings your vibrations low. So in order to keep my vibrations higher, I write affirmations every day in my journal. But I don't just write them down. At first, I guess I did. I just started writing it down because I didn't feel the things that I wanted to feel. And so, I heard in all these different spiritual meetings and workshops and groups that you had to start, being what you wanted to be, already. And you can start doing that by affirming that within yourself. And I am worthy is one of the affirmations I wrote down. And I just wrote it down every day until I finally understand what it means to me, what I'm saying. And when I say it or when I write it down or when I think it, when I change that conversation to myself, I really go deeper into what it means in my life. So what I am worthy, what do I mean when I say I am worthy, and what do I want to attract with that statement? Well, first of all, I want to attract what I think worthiness is, and I think worthiness is a generous disposition, a kind demeanor, and a loving heart. And I try to possess all those things in my relationships around me. So I am worthy of those in return. And I never felt that. I never even thought of that. Throughout the times in my life and the relationships I had, I always gave and gave and gave and gave and gave those type of things. And I never thought about that I was worthy of those in return. I just thought I would get that. I don't even know if I thought I would get that back. I just thought by being that way, that it would just come to me without the thought of feeling that within myself. So when I say I'm worthy, I also mean to give that back to myself. I'm worthy of love, I'm worthy of kindness, and I'm worthy of generosity. I am giving those feelings back to myself, and I'm working towards that. Now, I also feel that I'm worthy of them coming to me in the relationships around me, which I never thought of that before. But I have to have a desire of what I want, and I want those things back. Now I realize, and whether I realize by doing this search for happiness or doing the inner growth, I am able to now see that I hadn't had any expectations of myself giving myself those types of feelings or thoughts or actions towards me. But now I realize that when I write that I am worthy, then I am worthy of that as well. I'm worthy of what I give out. I'm worthy of a career that truly makes me happy and that supports me as much as I support it. Because like I said, in the past, I've done my all for my jobs and done my best and given, even in the hardest of times. But I now realize that I'm worthy of a career that makes me completely happy. I'm worthy of relationships with other people that are equal and balanced and that support me as I support them. So my worthiness and that statement really justifies that within myself and in the people around me. And if you haven't done affirmations, you can start by just writing them or saying that to yourself every day, the things that you want to believe in yourself. And then eventually what happens is you start believing those things. You start seeing it for what it is, and you start thinking deeper, because you do want to get to that deeper connection. You do want to not just say it, you want to believe it. And then you want to say, well, what does that mean? What do I believe about this statement, I am worthy? And really for your own journey, you want to think about it. Now, when this is especially the time to talk about worthiness and to really do this inner growth within ourselves, because we need to be worthy. We need to act and behave that way when things are happening around us in the world that may want to dampen our vibrations. And we all know what that is right now going on in the Ukraine. So if I have to believe that I have to be my best self and be worthy and want that worthiness back, because only then will I achieve the greatness that I desire in who I am as a human being. So I cannot let other things stop that from occurring in me. Worries or doubts or fears. I have to stay on my path, and I have to say every day and write it every day that I am worthy, because I know once I hit this level of what I feel is greatness, or the highest, or hit that divine feminine through my belief in a divine source and the highest level of soul purpose that I have, that I can attain, that I want to attain, that I have reached the worthiness that I believe then is deserving back to me. And it's not in a way where I deserve this or I deserve this. I really feel that my statement of I am worthy is that I am worthy of the things that I give out, and the emotions and the vibrations and the thoughts and the feelings and the deeds and the words and even my inner conversation to myself. I'm worthy of that back, because I do try to do that on a day-to-day basis. And especially for women, find your worthiness, because you have just so many unique characteristics that you possess in the divine feminine that you were born with, and naturally. And even in the divine masculine, I know I am worthy of having a conversation and being able to hold my own with other individuals, male or female, and not to get rattled or angered, but to be able to speak clearly in my interactions with other people. And so that's really, when I think of that, I am worthy of that back in relationships, and I try to hold myself to that standard, but I am worthy of that standard in return. So when I think of worthiness, it's really, I am worthy means to me that I'm worthy of what I am back to me. And I have to realize that I have to give that to myself as well as to other people. And the statement is really, that's what I'm doing when I make my affirmations. So I hope you have found some assistance or help in this video, and especially if you're a woman, to start finding that greatness in yourself again. I feel, and this is a harsh statement to say, and I in no way want to demean women that have been raped physically in the sexual sense, but women have been raped emotionally and mentally for years since our birth. And it's time that we discover that that's happened, and we put a stop to it by understanding our worth, and our worth to ourselves and our worth to society, because we possess the power of creation. And we haven't been honored the way we should have. And I think that needs to change now, especially as we see a war in the horizon. We want to look to ourselves and say, we have power. We have power to stop these things. We have power to think differently. We have power for peace. And we need to find our worthiness so that we can speak up, and that we can change and make change to the world for the positive. And I think when women find that within themselves, and they find out how worthy they are, then those are the steps that then can change our communities, our families, our nations, our world. So I encourage you to affirm to yourself positively what you're capable of, what you want in your life, and while at the same time living in that divine characteristic of being your best self, whether it is divine masculine or divine feminine, or a combination of the two. Find your worthiness again.